Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and I have a real soft spot in my heart for combination demolition tools. And this Craftsman here, this is a 10-inch adjustable demolition wrench is what they call it. Model number on this, CMMT12003. Yes, it's made in China. However, the precision doesn't really need to be here for kind of the things we usually criticize overseas makers for, cutting corners on. This is a pretty kind of abrasive, crude tool. I love the finish work. It reminds me of almost Swedish axes, where it's coming out of the forge and they just kind of polish up the business end and then leave it at that. So it's got a heavy black oxide coating. You can see that it opens up quite a ways. So here we've got a almost 1 3/4. It's saying here 1 1/4, but it's quite a ways past that. It's past 1 1/2. It's got a hammer, essentially a hammer face, pretty small. I'm going to actually reface that. It's got obviously the large working jaws. It's got essentially a pry bar with a standard bend. If I compare this, let me grab one here, to Snap-on. There's a Snap-on. You can see that the arc is pretty much the same. It's kind of got that dialed in universal bend there. And of course it's got nail pullers, one on the end here, and then on the end and one right in the center, and I'll show you how those work. As far as the face of this hammer goes, if you put a flat object on it, you might be able to see under there that it really doesn't fit smoothly across the top. It actually has a gap on the edges, so it rolls. So I'm going to flatten that out. You can tell just by looking at it. Somebody just threw it probably on a wheel or a belt. I'm guessing a belt, because the belt bends when you push something on it, and that's probably the curvature. So I'll dress it on a hard wheel. Overall, they call it a 10-inch. I don't know where they're getting that measurement. If I pull out the tape again, let's compare it here. So this thing runs out to about 11 and over 11 and a half here. This, you can see it bridges that little break there. If I compare it, here's a 10-inch Proto Professional. Run that out. That's, close to 10. Here's a Great Neck 12-inch made in Japan. If I run it out there, it's just a hair longer. It's almost a foot, almost 12 inches. But then look at the head size on this guy. Here's the 10-inch to compare. It just dwarfs. Even if I roll that out, same width, it just dwarfs this 10-inch here. So there's a lot more meat on this guy. Even when I compare it to this, close that up, to this standard 12-inch, you can see this thing. If I held both these up, you'd think this one was bigger, even though it's just called a 12-inch. It's got a lot more meat on the front end. Here's a 15-inch USA-made Craftsman. And if you compare that, you can see, it's closer to a 15 than it is a 12, yet they call it a 10. Anyway, how well does it work? Well, I've got a couple of nails in here and missing heads. So this is quite reminiscent of kind of traditional nail pulling ones, and I love this one. Look, can you read that? Right there. I guess I had it right side up. Estwing. I've had this thing forever. This one's made in Taiwan, it says. Pretty old. Estwing makes great stuff. Here's a newer Estwing here, a little smaller one. That one too is made in Taiwan. These are just infinitely handy. But anyway, it's very similar as far as, reaching under and prying, you can see. So for nail pulling, things like that, we're coming in this direction and trying to pop up. You can get something like that. If you have a nail, let me go ahead and pound one in here, that's up too high and you can't really, this doesn't really stick to it well enough. What you can do is use this end. And you've got a big rolling surface on this end, so you can just literally... Whoops, I probably had my arm in the way. Let me do that one again. Sorry about that. Get excited. So what I can do is actually use this end up here. You know, you're doing stuff that you normally wouldn't want to do with your adjustable wrench, but I can wedge this thing on right there, and then just start twisting sideways and roll it out. I'll go this way here and just pull out the nail. So if nail pulling's your thing, great. Here's a couple of others, so I can easily drop that on and pry it out. I've got shorter ones here. There's no head. You know, it doesn't stick on quite as well as some of these others. You know, if you pound on a little tiny one, you know, you might be able to get some traction. But you also might be able to simply put this on here, run it down tight, and then bend stuff out. So in some ways, as a nail puller, works even better. As a pry bar, a lot of meat there. Compare that again to the snap-on. You can see I could probably pound on this. These are striking caps. But, you know, this is almost a sacrificial tool. So it's designed to be used hard and then, you know, do its job. If you break it, replace it. It does come with the full lifetime warranty. So if you read the fine print, Craftsman says, if a product fails to perform for any reason, we will replace it. No proof of purchase required. So we'll see how that goes, maybe. But anyway, I have a soft spot for these guys. It looked like a neat tool. It looked like, you know, we're often pounding stuff. Whoops. How does it get like that? I don't know. By the way, this does have a kind of a what do they call that? It's staked. They did do something right there so you can see that the pin or the screw doesn't come out. I've spun it with a screwdriver and it just spins in there. But overall, it's pretty heavy, and the best part, it was like 20 bucks. Link below, they carry them at some stores, but I was curious about it. Thought I'd get one, thought I'd try it out, and so far, for what it is, I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. I thought about pounding or grinding these a little flatter so I could use that as a hammer place. You know, grind it this way. Whoops, can't see that. Grind it that way to give me a better striking surface, or I may just not worry, but I'm going to probably test that out. Where's it going to live? I don't know, bug out bag, car kit, garage. But if you don't have one, most people don't, you know, it's not a bad gift. You know, a crude tool that might have some use somewhere. There you go. And with that, Doc out.